There was a crisis. One of the government officials even talked about how the way to make change happen was to create a crisis, and they did. So there was a crisis in education, and every conversation about education was kind of a polarized debate. And we decided, a small group of parents in one school initially, that it was important that there be some kind of voice in the middle, some kind of objective voice to talk about issues in education and to bring a different perspective to the table. We had this belief, a belief in public education. We had a belief that it could change children's lives, and it could overcome intergenerational cycles of poverty. It could create a sense of social cohesion. It could strengthen our culture, because it's really part of who we are. In Canada, about 95% of children go to public schools. We remember and recognize and talk about the fact that the job of public education was to build the next generation of society. We wanted to build the public conversation that we had to get money in order to do this. We applied for funding to foundations, and we knew we wanted to operate independently of the system. The research for us was important because we knew we had to have evidence, that it wasn't enough to just go around having a big opinion about what should happen, that we had to have evidence to back it up. We wanted a public conversation, so we made friends right away with the media. We understood how important it was to tell stories, and to get the media on board as, that we were credible, that we weren't going to make anything up, and that they could come to us for information. So we do a lot of work that way. We do a lot of work in social media also, in online. We have online dialogues. We make policy recommendations coming out of our reports. We sit at some government policy tables, and we work sometimes with policymakers. So when we're bringing out a report, we will go tell the government, this is our report, this is what it says, this is what we think you should be doing. And we have to start, I think, by recognizing and respecting and taking seriously how complex the job is of being a parent, just that. So for us right now, one of our most important messages that we're trying to get to everybody in the world and everybody who works in the education system in Canada is that part of their job is to let parents know at home that there are 4 really important things they should be doing. And we got it down to 4 because we thought it was important that it be easy enough to communicate to parents. And again, this goes to trying to get away from this idea that there's a kind of hierarchy of parent involvement. There's important kinds and unimportant kinds. And really, in terms of student outcomes, what parents do at home matters more than anything. Much more than their involvement in schools. First one was that they have high expectations of their children. And this isn't, fighting about marks. This is just letting your children know that you believe in their potential, that you assume that they're going to work hard. The second one was talking to your kids about school. Again, these sound easy. Our research director, who has a PhD and has a master's degree in law, and is very knowledgeable. Initially, we were writing a tip sheet to say, and we were going to say it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4. But then one morning she came in tears and went, it's not easy. We can't say it's easy. More important than homework, more important than helping with homework at all, more important than limiting TV time, more important than saying they couldn't go out on a school night, was just home discussion, they called it. So conversations about school. So building the work habits, though, is not about doing their work for them. Again, it's not about their homework. It's actually about letting your kids struggle. So it's about letting them learn to be persistent, to figure out how to go and get help, to be able to deal with difficulty and handle distraction and negotiate their own crises. So again, it's not about doing the work for them, and you don't have to be able to do their math or know the history or read the textbook. That's their job. Your job is to support them and get them to learn that this is part of what they have to do. They have to grow up and they have to take responsibility themselves. And the last one I think everybody knows, but not everybody does still, which is reading with your children. Building school's sense, so then the people who work in schools, the teachers, the administrators, the school system sense, that part of their role has to be communicating with parents, not asking parents to do more, but communicating with parents. That's the first job to do. We're making sure our policies do the best they can for all the children in the system, not just the children of the parents with the loud voices. We measure how we're doing on the test scores, and we measure graduation rates, but we don't talk very much about what kind of graduates are they? What kind of capacities do they have? And those kinds of conversations are ones that we are finding engage more people. Supporting parents, providing them with the tools that they need, building that big kind of tent, which then allows us to talk about these bigger issues. So it's partly reminding everybody there are lots of problems in the system, yes, but public education is incredibly important, and it has a potential to, as I said, to change kids' lives. So it's again, I've already said this, it's recognizing how serious the job of being a parent is, and then providing the space for parents who want to be advocates, to be involved in the system at different levels, but not assuming that they're all going to agree on one thing or another.